So okay. So I'm glad you got that off your chest, Dr. Uchi. Welcome in. I'm glad you're here.
Hello.
So I'm gonna go ahead and ask you a question. So what is life like on the OT side?
Oh man. Okay. Well, a lot of multitasking. Prime
Okay.
example. My son here wants to get his tablet going, so sorry in
Oh no,
advance.
you're good.
I love occupational therapy. It's probably my favorite healthcare profession I've ever been in. Early on, my dad told us, you can, yeah, hi, here you are. Okay, here's the tablet. Here you go. Yeah. I swear, which is so funny because sensory processing. So I'm like, it's fine. Anyways, Um, so my dad, he's Nigerian and immigrated from to the United States around 1970s. And it's funny, this funny saying we have in Nigerian family households is either you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can be an engineer, or a disgrace to the family. Let me.
Okay.
I was
No pressure.
no pressure, not at all. I was second of five, so kind of like Scar from Lion King. So like, I was like invisible, disgrace to the family. They thought, oh, this guy's not going to be anything. So I told them about occupational therapy. I was getting into it, and they're like, "What is that?" Keep in mind, my parents are nurses. They had no idea what OT. That's crazy to me. Okay, it was nuts. So
Okay.
yeah, what? What? That's some work, isn't it? Yeah. And so I told them I was going to be an occupational therapy assistant. They're like, "Oh, it doesn't make that much money." Then they saw it in the because my dad he does like nursing around the nursing homes. So he saw me in fieldwork rotation. He's like, "Oh, this is what OT is." I'm like, "You're a nurse. How do you not know what OT?" Oh God. And so, anyways,
Yeah.
and then later on, because I just got so in love with it as an occupational therapy assistant, I actually ended up going to get my doctorate in occupational therapy. And so that's how I'm like, and so on my second year into being doctor of OT. Funnily enough, I did doctor of OT in the middle of a pandemic, which is very, very, oh my God, that is such a hands on job. Okay. You cannot Zoom that job. That's not a Zoom school kind of career.
No.
So I could go into a whole other rant about that. Broadly speaking, right now, I think OT is going through a bit of a sea change, to be honest. There is have you heard of the silver tsunami by any chance?
I have not.
Okay, I love this. I love explaining this to everyone. I talk to everyone about the silver tsunami. Coming. It's coming. It's huge. It's ominous. It's a tsunami.
Batten
But
down the hatches, baby.
seriously, batting them down. It's going to be wild. So baby boomers are set to be the largest retiree population in U.S. history. Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay.
No,
I got you. I got you.
got it. Ready right
They're
there.
fixing to
I, I,
stroke
I,
out.
I
Yeah.
got you, but just for our audience who may not know, just go ahead and explain. Yep, I got you now.
Baby boomers set to be the largest retiree population in U.S. history. 70 to 80 million retirees are set to come into like basically retirement age by 2030. I believe every single baby boomer will be over the age of 65, so retirement age. Now, what do you think is going to have a cascading effect to that? Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, the alcohol industry, tobacco, all the things that the boomers love to do. These things are going to go through some major shifts, like catastrophic levels of shift. And the thing about the baby boomers, I mean, they did what they did. Neoliberalism era was technically theirs. Like they fully claimed that. But the problem is that the hardest thing to do as a millennial is convincing a baby boomer to do something different. It is the hardest thing in the world. Okay, it's like pulling teeth. So as a millennial OT who's teaching these boomers, hey, you need to exercise, you got to move your body. They're like, whatever, like I'll put it over here and watch Fox News and CNN. Like they're not actually listening. And because of that, their physical health is so declining right now. And I saw this like when I was in home health last summer. Man, they are living in these wild situations. And I'm like, how are you able to navigate your home? You can barely get out of bed. Like, it's
Mhm.
so scary. Uh, so putting all that together, it's like there's a increasingly massive need for OT, but because everything's so expensive, it's so hard to get more OTs in here. So one of three things is going to happen in OT world. Either we're going to become really famous really quickly. There's going to be a lot more OTs that come in here. Fingers and toes crossed for that one. The second one is that we're the ones OTs that are left, who are grandfathered into this, they're probably going to get paid a crazy amount of money because like they're rare, to have an OT. So when you find one, they're like, "I'll pay you top dollar to help my grandfather out," that kind of thing. or number three, we're going to shrivel up into nothing. So it's one of those three scenarios right now. Scary,
So,
but
oh,
also,
go ahead.
it's a scary situation, but also hopeful. So that's what.
Yeah, so to me it's interesting because I feel as though there's a lot of people who are there's gonna be some people that's gonna be very creative and innovative that's gonna make a lot of money.
Yes.
there's because on the nurses side, I'm gonna go ahead and say it because I know some people are already doing this, so this isn't a secret. Okay, so I don't want to hold secrets here on this podcast like that. So on the nurses side, right, you got people that are looking ahead in terms of this boom, this baby boomers era that people are gonna retire. They are jumping ahead. You got more people looking into getting into more assisted living. You get people who are having more adult daycare centers. You get people that are trying to look ahead because they know business is booming. In certain states, CNAs have already become like their own administrators of their own homes. So people open up their own homes. And people are starting to get creative because they see what's coming. So for
They're
me
getting
on the outside
wise.
looking in, they are. And, I don't know. I got some of my own thoughts too. But I'm trying to get in on this too. But I think for you guys, I think it's going to be a grand opportunity. I don't think you got because there's going to be such a need that you guys are going to get paid. That's how
Yeah.
I feel. So
Yeah. That makes sense. I think the unemployment rate right now is like 2% because there's so massive need. So
right.
I think unless a Medicare goes insolvent, which is going to be like 2035, 36, like now, like I think you're probably right. We're probably going to be, there's going to be massive demand. It's going to be wild times. So
Yeah, it's going to be
Uchi,
wild. Watch it all transpire. Oh, go ahead.
Uchi, can I share my love letter to occupational therapy real quick? You okay
go
with
for
that?
it.
So in the Venn diagram of all allied health, PT, OT, and speech, OT is in the middle. Like occupational therapy, we were just talking about before you jumped on what a crap name it is because it doesn't really convey everything you do, but also it would take like 50 words. But
Yeah.
like they're kind of at the center, the people that get you to the functioning level that you need to be safe and to be independent and to have good quality of life. And that involves physical therapy and that involves speech therapy sometimes and other therapies and yada yada yada, but they are like the beating heart of allied health, and yet they are the most underrepresented number wise. I'm not 100%. I don't know if you guys are more or we guys or if SLP is like larger, but they talk about a PR problem. Every time I suggest a referral to occupational therapy to one of my patients who's like 82, they say, I'm retired. I don't need that.
Yeah.
And then I have to give the OT speech. So, like all of allied health, except for physical therapy, people get that stuff. But OT and speech, like we've got a real bad PR problem. And Uchi and I did have a kind of back and forth when he was talking about like the underrepresentation in OT for people of color and like gender differences and all that stuff. And I was like, haha, we suck more. We're whiter and more girly than occupational therapy. You guys aren't half as bad as we are. But occupational therapy is like the glue of the allied health world. And anybody worth their salt will immediately run to an OT with any questions
Mm.
in general. Okay, that was my love letter. Love
Oh,
you, Uchi hair.
heartfelt. Oh, love it. That's why I love my LA help. We're a group. We're like cousins. We kind of fight with each other every now and then, but we definitely love each other. So
Yeah, no one else is allowed to talk smack. We can talk smack about each other, but if anybody else needs to do it, it's not a thing.
yeah, it's on and
I'll
popping.
fight you about OT.
I love it.
So I do have a couple of questions though. Well, I have a question and then I have a story. Dr. Uchi,
Story time.
so is there do you feel like there's enough representations of minorities within occupational therapy? And if not, then why is that?
Oh boy, this could turn into a long podcast. I swear. Okay.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
gonna get comfortable.
Yeah, this is a lengty one. Funnily enough, this is actually what my literature review was all about when I was in grad school. Was about the demographics of OT. So I have a intimate knowledge of this. But occupational therapy, the history of it started in 1917 in insane asylums. So it actually started with like night nurses and stuff like that. So white women that were trying to basically hey, let's try this instead to help these people in straitjackets, and it worked. That's really the crazy part about it, is that occupation, giving people something to do, actually made them feel better, and then their mental health improved. That's literally the layman's term of what happened with OT, and then it turned into a whole thing. Well, think about the historical context during 1917. This place was really, really racist. Like, really racist. You know, I think I heard the first film back then that was presented in the White House was Birth of a Nation. And anyone who knows Birth of a Nation is, it's like
Y'all, I apologize. I wasn't there, but on behalf of my people, I apologize.
It's all good. It's all good. You're on the team now. It's all good.
There's people who are listening to this who have never heard of that, so it's going to be interesting. I know what that is. So anyway.
Yeah, it's a long story short. It's a film basically warning white women that black men are going to go and break them. You know what I mean? It's a crazy film, and they filmed this and they presented this to the White House. Given that historical context, occupational therapy was very exclusionary for a long, long, long time. I heard somewhere, I think it was around 1917 is when it started. The first black OT was like made or was it allowed into an OT school at like 1970, almost 50 years later. Okay, so it's a crazy amount of time before like black people are allowed into the program. Period.
Not that long ago, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Not that long ago.
Thank you.
No. That's
then
horrifying.
It really is. It's wild stuff. And then on top of that, it was like 50 for about maybe a decade or two. And then I can fast forward to now. It was in 2000 or like 2010, one of those years. 5% of the OT population is black right now. Fast forward to 2025, 5% of the OT population is black. Nothing has changed. So the reason why this is happening is because this is my speculation, is that I don't believe that when we go to apply to the people of color apply to OT school, I don't think they're actually considered to be taken seriously. They want a certain type of like student. You know the one. You know the one I'm talking about. 20s, very sheeply minded, probably a white girl, straight A's, gotta get that GRE to 4.0 and all that. And they have no level of like sense about, no offense to these people, to, the applicants. It's more about there's no sense of diversity in the thought process, if that makes any sense. There's a lot of
it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. And because of that, here's the huge fallacy with occupational therapy is that OT, out of all of the healthcare professions, is supposed to be diverse because our whole pitch is client-centeredness. It's individualized plans to increase rehabilitation. No two people live the same. They live differently. So the whole point is you have to be able to know diverse cultures and know how they live so you can rehabilitate them back to their culture. So it's a wild thing in general. And I'll leave it on this last note, but I think it was as of 2023, 2024, it was like 130,000 occupational therapists out there. I want to say about 75% are white, 5% are black, I think 7% are Asian, 6% Hispanic, 2 or more is about 4%. You could do the approximate and Google that yourself. Indigenous is less than 1%. And then on the male versus female side, I think it's like 8% are like women, and then 20% are men. So if you do some cross-sectional, intersectional math on that, 5% of 20% of 130,000, there's less than 1% that are black men in this field. So I'm a rare amongst the rare. So I'm like, okay, let me make a social media channel and blast this on the airways. I'm going to take my shirt off, make it look sexy. Like, I'm going to do something to really make it splash. Like, that's my thing. Like, because
listen, brother, with that tank top, you ain't got to take your shirt off.
We're just
go ahead and say it.
Leave some ladies for the rest of them, Uchi.
Oh shoot.
Oh yeah. So that's the lack of diversity.
Yeah.
Is a huge detriment to OT practice because it's limiting our ability to reach the type of people we need to reach. Is in conclusion. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's so hard. This is generalization, but it can be so hard to convince certain patient populations, whatever you want to term that, to seek outpatient therapy. Like after a stroke, so many people are reticent. most of those folks are men. Your older stroke folks, they don't want to acknowledge any deficits. They just want to go home and not be in the hospital anymore. And I have to wonder if part of that is what they see when they enter a clinic, which is me, and not feeling like they're at home or that how can I possibly understand them? And they're not wrong. I mean, I try my best, but I haven't lived their experiences. So if they walked into a clinic and they were reticent and their wife forced them to go in and they saw Dr. Uchi, maybe they would put more into that rehab effort. Maybe they'd be more amenable to kind of entering that conversation. And I mean, I realize that we're all preaching to the choir here, but we all know that certain patient populations, whoever they are, whatever they are, they need to be able to relate to the people providing them care. And right now, if you're Black, and definitely if you're Black and male, you're not going to see a ton of that in allied health, despite the fact that we are the most. Please, I will cut out a lung and give it to you if you will just come to your appointments. I can help you. I swear to God, I just want you to live a good life. Let me help you.
Yeah.
It doesn't always amount to much if the person doesn't feel comfortable receiving that help from you, or they just don't see themselves reflected back in their provider.
Hey you, yes you, you've made it this far, so go ahead and give a like or a follow. I appreciate it.
I was just gonna say that, there's already a lot of barriers to somebody getting taken care of. There's so many barriers. Just thinking about just the hospital setting in general. I mean, think about it. Especially if you don't have any idea. So you have you don't have the knowledge, right? So you're nervous. And then, so, you may have the hospital delirium, right? Not knowing what everything is. And then, you got to take care of, you have nurses and doctors and, all these people, all these people of the team that has to take care of you, right? But I think what's underestimated, and of course, I'm going to be preaching to the choir, is the fact that if you see somebody that either looks like you or talks like you, to break down those barriers. You know what I'm saying? To break down those barriers, because you need that representation. You need it. And I think people think like, oh, just because they went to school or just because, maybe they have the knowledge or the experience, all that is great. We would love to trust people as they come in, right? But at the same time, it helps to have somebody who looks like you. It does. Like, you create that bond, you create that patient trust. It just helps. And then when it comes to healthcare, especially in a journey of recovery or therapy or just regular treatment, I mean, you need to break down as many barriers as you can so these people can get the help that they need. So, I mean, it's just
absolutely. Absolutely. And you're giving snaps.
Yeah.
I had an acute stroke patient that I was seeing in the hospital, and it was, an older African American woman who was completely aphasic, like no communication at all. And I kind of read the room. Everybody was wearing like a shirt that had like a gospel quote on it or had like a cross on. And I told you my background is in music, but I also have a minor in ethnomusicology, and that is basically the study of like, it's history through music. And my focus was on the African American experience in the United States and what that influence was. Which, P.S., all the things influenced all the things. All of our music is a little bit stolen. Surprise.
Yeah.
And so I was working with this woman. I decided to do like a little bit of melodic intonation therapy. And because I was able to kind of pull up from a hat a ton of spirituals, just based on how I read the room, this woman, I'm telling you, she was singing her name. She was singing whole phrases to me, and it was just miraculous and amazing.
Oh, wow.
But the look of surprise on the other faces, I could tell it wasn't about her being able to communicate when she'd been so unable. It was, who is this white chick and how does she know that song? And I get it. And if I hadn't been like kind of so persistent, they probably would have just kind of ushered me out. But like, it shouldn't be that much effort. They should feel comfortable in their own skin, and it shouldn't be such a I don't know. I mean, you know what I'm saying. Everybody who watches your channel probably knows what I'm saying. It's not that I don't want to ever work, but plenty of white females are going to stroke out in the future, and I can take care of them.
Yeah.
In the meantime, there is a huge amount of the population that deserves to see themselves reflected in their care providers. I'm not going to get choked up. I said I wasn't going to get choked up, but it's pretty criminal. It's pretty criminal and just horrifying how that representation isn't there, and just the experience. Like how many people could have gone so much farther in their rehab from whatever it was if they had an Uchi, if they had Wakanda.
So I want to ask either one of y'all can answer questions, or I can take turns answering this one. How can the PR get better? How can we get people to become more occupational therapists, that people of color or people of diversity, or how can we get people more into speech pathology? Like, how can we do better on the PR? Like, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
Well,
Uchi's got a whole treatise. Buckle up.
Okay, go for it.
All me right here. So I've learned a lot about how the human condition works as far as like what's appealing, what draws people in, stuff like that. And to be honest, sex sells. That's been my end. Honestly, I want to make OT sexy. I want OT to be appealing and fun and exciting and bubbly. And the thing that the way that's how I feel about occupational therapy is that it's so much more than just dressing and toileting and transfers and stuff. There's so many different niches in OT practice that makes occupational therapy so much more dynamic and unique and absolutely like a blast to do. So I'm trying to use OT in other ways that no one's ever thought of. Like one of the things I want to do is tackle like youth mental health. You know how to do that? Well, I want to OT masculinity. How do you OT masculinity? Okay, everyone talks about toxic masculinity, blah blah blah. Well, why don't I do that and make it like healthy masculinity? That's me using my occupational therapy brain to show people that it's okay to be a man, but also be kind and caring and to be wanting attuned to your emotions.
You don't say. You don't say.
Yeah. So I'm trying to use it like that. I'm trying to OT like how can we solve the systemic issues with like policy and the fact that we have a horrible work-life balance and the billionaires are stealing all our money. Okay, well, as an occupational therapist, this is what I do. Boom, 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 boom. So like I talk about how an OT would do this for fixing the policy and public health. What's another thing? I think really talking about OT as a lifestyle, and because it really is, it's a lifestyle. It's not necessarily just a career. That has been really helpful. And honestly, this is one of my biggest pushes. That's why I'm on TikTok so much. I'm not really on, I mean, I have some Instagram posts I do every now and then, but I feel like talking to the youth, especially, we have to talk to them in their arena versus like, oh, come to my seminar and like, this upper echelon tier place that they will never achieve like student loan debt out the wazoo. So I'm like, let me get down to your level. Let me code switch this so you know what I'm talking about instead of like talking about occupational apartheid and occupational marginalization. Like no one's gonna know what that means, so you have to break it down to their level. I like to make it sexy and fun because I've learned research shows if you're looking at something visually appealing, you're more likely to retain the information. So it hooks them in, and then I feed them the carrots. Show the desserts, feed the carrots. That's what I've been doing. So that's on my side of things. I recognize my privilege as a muscular black man, but I'm also like I'm a black man. Like sure, I'm gonna do something about it. So, yeah,
that's a huge part of it. Everyone's always saying, why aren't there more black male role models? Well, it's because we haven't given them. There was no accessible platform. Like, unless you can afford to mount a $2,000 a ticket or whatever seminar, what are you going to do? Stand on the street corner and like scream out your platform? And, TikTok, social media, for all of its, downside, has been a great equalizer. The black male role models are out there. We just haven't given them access to the people that need to hear their message.
Yep.
And so that's why I'm so grateful for you, Uchi and Wakanda, because now we can all see you, and everybody gets to listen to you and learn from you, as opposed to me, who I'm just going to shut up because I need to absorb more.
So So I feel like we're gonna have to do a part 2. I already told Caroline. I said normally I try to keep my stuff about 30 minutes, but hey, sometimes if it's really good, it's really good. I just may break it down to a part 1, part 2, and then we may have to come out here and do another like a part 3 or whatever.
Hey, I'll step out and just let the two of y'all handsome men do your thing. I watch that for
there you
some money.
go.
I'll pay for that.
well, I'm gonna say we can all be involved. We're all handsome or good looking to somebody in the world. So that's what I'm gonna say to that. I'm gonna say that we're good looking to somebody in the world. But anyway. So where can people find you guys? Where can people find you guys? You guys have provided great information. We've only like barely touched the surface of a lot of stuff. But where can people find you guys?
Oh man, I am on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. It's linked to my Facebook, but no one goes there because it's like. But which is funnily enough. So yeah, Instagram, Facebook. I have a Red Note, but I barely do that too. I got a YouTube as well. Look up Dr. Uchi, the Swole OT. Super easy to find.
Yep,
Luckily,
he said it. He said Swole OT.
There's not many Uchindu E1 Yahoos in the world, so it works out. It's easy to find. But yeah, TikTok's my like driver right now, and yeah, just follow me along. Some of it's a little bit OT related, some of it's educational thirst traps, some of it's fitness, some of it's just me talking about myself and how my journey as a person has like transpired. It's a nice little entertainment area. So yeah, that's the place to check me out.
All right. What about you, Caroline?
You can find me on this podcast with you right now because I'm not really a presence. I'm not really a TikTok creator, but who knows? I got to read my hospital's rules about social media a little bit before I jump into the deep end. But for the most part, you can see me commenting on your videos and Uchi's videos.
Okay. All right. So thank you all for joining in with your Wakanda end. And then so until next time, guys, thank you guys for stopping by.
Thank you.
You.